Thanks again for coming back to my channel. This is John Heyman. Today I'm coming at you with a little bit of something different. I usually do model cook builds or something like that, but today I'm gonna go over the new Godzilla vs. Gigan Rex short that just came out. We've been starved for Toho content for about 6 years now, since Shin Godzilla in 2016. So I thought it'd be appropriate to just get my thoughts down, my critiques, what I liked, what I didn't like. So without further ado, here we go. So first I'd like to start out with the designs of the monsters. We'll look at Godzilla first. If you know me, it's really no secret that I'm a huge, massive fan of the design that appeared in the first Gemstone video. I thought it was basically perfect. It's what I would have wanted really in Legendary's Godzilla movies. A more traditional Heisei influenced suit. Heisei is pretty much my favorite. It's what I grew up on. It's the design that I think of when I think of Godzilla, so I was really excited to see that Gemstone was giving some love to the Heisei series, but also bringing it up to a more modern design, updating it for a more modern audience. It looks very menacing, so I definitely approved of the design used in the first Gemstone short, even though we didn't really get to see much of it. With that being said, not really much of a fan of how he actually looked in the second Gemstone video. I think that's going to be kind of controversial, so don't shoot me, but I think the added details that they used in this second short actually make him look worse. Specifically, I really don't like the eyes. I don't like how they're colored, and I don't like how they really just look on film. I guess I get that I'm kind of nitpicking here, but I think that there were certain tweaks that were made in between the first and second video that were detrimental to this design. Additionally, I think when you see his full body shot, it's not really what I'm looking for. There's just something off to me with the detailing. It doesn't look right, and his proportions don't look right. I feel like he should be chonkier, to be honest, but there's just something off about it to me when we see his whole body. I'm not saying it's bad or anything like that. I still really like the design. It's just not as good as a design. Sorry, I can't speak. As what I thought it was in the first Gemstone short. Even as I'm saying this, I'm looking at the picture of him charging up that white blast, and it just looks so incredible from the front. I will say, like, this would be probably a perfect Godzilla design for me if they would just change up the body texture and the proportions. Like I said, he just looks too small for me. With that said, when he went straight up Super Saiyan, Ultra Instinct, whatever you want to call it, and with the white blast, it was just badass. It was amazing shot. I've been wondering if they would ever do a white blast for Godzilla, and I don't know in what context this would come up in an official film, but here it looked really good. I have really nothing bad to say about that. My overall thoughts, this would basically be a perfect Godzilla design if maybe it took a little bit more influence from Shin and increased the proportion sizes on the body, and maybe even change the texture a little bit. I'd give the design a straight up like 7.5 or an 8 out of 10, which for me is a classic, but it's still not rising to the level of like Bio Goji or Gedo Goji for me, just because of the proportionality issues. If you give him a Gedo Goji 91 proportions, I think this would be possibly the greatest Godzilla design of all time. Okay, now we turn to Gigan. My thoughts on Gigan here are kind of varied. I'm not sure if I would really like this if it were to appear in the context of an official film that was released in theaters. But here, appearing in this form in an animated short, I think I actually really like the design, and I'm really approving of the creativity that Gemstone put into this. I really like that they kind of emphasized his cyborg aspects. Gigan has always been a cyborg, but aside from GFW, we don't really see him do anything mechanically, really. I mean, in the Godzilla vs. Gigan, he kind of just appears as an organic entity, and I really like how Gemstone emphasized his cybernetic aspects. I really like how Gigan has multiple gadgets that he kind of pulls out. I think it really just helps to emphasize that this isn't necessarily a naturally occurring creature. And I think in the context of an animated short, this looks really good. And I applaud Gemstone for having the balls to give this sort of Gigan design and to put their own stamp on the creature. I really like the shots where Gigan is doing battle with the Air Force. I think those were incredible. I'd love to see more shots like that in official Toho films. But as far as the design goes, I'm pretty happy with it. I think it's weird. I think it's very alien looking, which is what Gigan should look like. So overall thoughts on Gigan, I'd give it a 7 out of 10, I think. Glad it's not an official film release, but as far as this goes, I'm happy to have it, and I hope we actually get some figures in them. Okay, let me just first off say this shot is so badass. It's so sick. Gemstone did such a great job on this. I really don't have much to critique. Just a really cool idea, first of all, of having the Gigan swarm in the first place. I don't think that anyone has ever really thought of that. It's just a really unique application of Gigan, because you don't really think of Gigan as being a monster that would appear in a swarm, in a sense like Gauss or something. And speaking of Gauss, I'm getting major Iris vibes from Gigan Rex, and just the way he comes down into the city. It reminds me a lot of the way Iris descended into Kyoto in Gamera 3. So I think, first of all, Gigan Rex makes for some really cool visuals, and I think it's really cool to have him kind of leading the Gigan swarm / horde, whatever you want to call it. And Gemstone did a really great job of making him just look uber powerful and evil. Okay, so as far as my overall thoughts on the short itself goes, I thought it was fantastic. I thought it was visually appealing, I thought it was compelling, and I thought it was action-packed. And really, those are the three things that I would want in a Godzilla story. And it was all packed into. They managed to accomplish all this in only a few minutes, which I just think is extraordinary. One aspect I really liked about it was the tying into, as I mentioned earlier, I'm a big Heisei fan. I grew up on it. I really loved how they tied this into back to the Heisei series, and now for the first time since like Godzilla 2000, we're debating whether this new Godzilla that has appeared is Godzilla Jr., which I think that's a fun debate. I remember back when Godzilla 2000 was released, everyone was debating this, even though it pretty much seemed illogical, but it's still a fun thing to talk about, fun to debate, and I'm glad that Toho finally actually paid some lip service to this debate / rumor / wish list that has been going on in the minds of G fans since really Godzilla vs. Destroya ended in '95. I think Junior was a really compelling character. We got to see him grow up, really a full character arc for a character that never speaks, which I think is really interesting. The audience always held a ton of sympathy for Junior and whatever plight he was going through, especially when he was just getting manhandled by Destroya. So I think to see him come back in this context is just awesome, and it really almost makes me yearn for kind of a sequel to Godzilla vs. Destroya, and wanting to see more Junior and what became of him. Another tie-in to the Heisei series is they have, I believe it is actually Megumi Otaka who is narrating the introduction to the short, and she played Miki Segusa. In the Heisei series. She's one of the only reoccurring characters, or I don't want to say actresses, there's been reoccurring actresses in the series, but her character has appeared in more Godzilla films than I think any other human character. I don't think it's even close. And so I think that was a really nice touch to really just hit home that we're implying this is Godzilla Jr. And I love that touch. I would love to see Miki Segusa, Megumi Otaka, play her return in some way, shape, or form with Godzilla Jr. in a sequel to the Heisei series. I think Toho make a lot of money doing it too, because all these 90 babies, we're all grown up now, and so we're nostalgic. We want to see these characters that we loved continue, and I think Godzilla Jr. is a separate character from Godzilla, and so I think there's a yearning in some fans to see him return. And I think that's the same with Miki Sugusa and Megumi Otaka. And I know she hasn't done much film work really since the close of the Godzilla series, and I think she deserves to come back, and I think she should be involved in future film in some way, shape, or form. Aside from that, the visuals in this film are incredible. I've already talked about the military battle with Gigan and the Air Force. It reminded me a lot of a better executed version of King Ghidorah's battle with the Air Force in 1991. I really want to see more Godzilla or Kaiju versus the military. I think that's something that Toho excels at, that Legendary hasn't given us. And we got a little bit of a taste of it here, and I really like that. Another kind of Heisei-ish thing that was going on here was there was a lot of like beam war type things, but it wasn't as ridiculous as it was in the Heisei series. We still got a lot of tooth and claw fighting, or I guess you should say like metal. I don't know what you would call Gigan's appendages here, but there was a lot of like tooth and claw stuff. We'll just call it that. And so I think it was a good mixture of beams and physical combat that just made for a really exciting visual short piece here. So I really applaud Gemstone for this. I think it was fantastic. I think they executed their vision perfectly, almost. With aside from Godzilla's proportions that I was complaining about earlier. But yeah, I think Gemstone did a great job. I think it was funner than almost the entire Legendary series, and it was only a 5-minute fight. I feel like we got to see as much Godzilla and Kaiju as we saw there, as we do in basically every Legendary movie. I don't want to harp too much on them because I have really enjoyed the last 2 Legendary films especially, but I do prefer what Toho is doing, and I just think they have a better sense of what Godzilla should be like on film than the American studios do, even at this point. So overall thoughts, I'm going to give this a 10 out of 10. I thought it was fantastic. If this is any glimpse of what we're going to get from Toho in the upcoming film, sign me up. I'm on board. I'm hyped. And I'm excited to see what we're going to get. So thanks everyone for watching. If you like this content, please like and subscribe to my channel. Thanks and have a great day.